Hello to you. Hello. Um, I don't know what's happened with previous live stream. Have no idea. But what I decided to do, I decided just to change topic, and instead of talking about history of English language, I decided to talk about history of Canada because a few minutes ago I received a notification I did something wrong. My just I don't know. I don't know what's happened. Let's be honest. It looks like I violated rules of YouTube, but I didn't violate anything. I believe I was trying to understand a little bit history of English. But anyway, let's try to watch another video. This video will be the history of Canada explained in 10 minutes. Yeah, unexpected. I didn't plan this to watch, but why not? I like to watch something about history. Let's go. Let's do this. And this video will be short, maybe much shorter than previous one I wanted to watch. Let's do this together. But before we will start, I will be happy if you will support by leaving likes. It would be amazing. You can also leave your comments below. What do you think about Canada? If we decided to change topic, why not? And yes, let's go. Let's watch this together.
Canada, known for their delicious maple syrup, and being home to nearly all of the greatest hockey players of all time, is the second largest nation on Earth, and with approximately 2 million lakes, contains over 50% of the freshwater lakes on the planet.
2 million lakes? It is crazy. 2 million. I didn't expect this at the beginning of a video. And yes, hello again, Dirk. Hello, Paula. Hello to Lisa. Yes, thank you for returning. Yes, and what did you do? I did nothing. I was just watching video. This video was about English history. I have no idea what I did wrong. I was just talking and studying English. Have no idea. Okay, let's go.
For many thousands of years, this region was populated with many indigenous tribes of hardy people, capable of overcoming the severe and lengthy winters, thriving and developing unique cultures. The first non-native people to settle in Canada, and the New World in general that we know of for sure, were the Vikings. They built a settlement in Newfoundland around 1000 AD. It is unclear for exactly how long this settlement was occupied for, or if there was more, but ultimately it was either abandoned, pillaged, or its inhabitants succumbed to disease, or assimilated into the local population. But theories abound. Nearly 500 years later, in 1497, the Italian explorer Giovanni Capoto was the first European to explore North America's coast, claiming it for the English crown. Shortly after, the Spanish and the Portuguese would do the same, but remained uncolonized for several decades, with only a few seasonal Portuguese and Basque fishing outposts built, until the French arrived. Jacques Cartier claiming the land for France in 1534. He named the gulf and river after St. Lawrence's feast day on which he arrived. The French...
To be honest, I didn't expect such history from about Canada. What I was thinking that when Christopher Columbus found America, am I right or not? There was expedition before Christopher Columbus was another guy. He was not the first one, but still. Then it was explored all these continents. I mean, that's how I was thinking. But here we can see Eskimo people. Wow, it is quite unexpected. And there is a Canadian border just 20 minutes from my house. What? 20 minutes? You can go to Canada nearly every day. It looks like this. Wow, it is amazing, Lisa. Hi, Alex. Hi, Thomas, to you too. And I see your message, Sam Smith Q. You say that, Alex, about ESL classes. When will you register for ESL? Register for your next level ESL classes? To be honest, I do not know yet. Just do not know. Yes, I need to think about this. Yeah, when to do this.
French called the territory around the river Canada, after the native word for settlement. After several failed attempts at permanent settlement succumbed to starvation and disease, the cities of Quebec and Port Royal were successfully established. By 1670, the English colonies in the south had expanded, and new settlements were established in Newfoundland and south of the Hudson Bay. The fur trade, particularly in beaver pelts, became extremely lucrative, as it became the favored material for hat makers and luxury winter clothing.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stewart.
Okay.
Did you know that right now over
in Northern Europe? This greatly encouraged further northern settlement by both English and French fur trappers seeking to make a fortune. The French and the English did not peacefully coexist, with the French temporarily taking much of the territory around the Hudson Bay during the lengthy period known as the Beaver Wars. Not only the Europeans became wealthy and influential from the trade in beaver.
It sounds a little bit strange. Beaver Wars. From 1629 until 1701. 72 years this wars was going on. 72 years, it is a lot. Because of beavers. 72 years, oh my gosh. Didn't expect this at all.
Beaver pelts. The Iroquois Confederation of 6 powerful tribes, armed with European firearms, initially allied with Dutch merchants, and then the English, to aggressively attack the French, and most other Indian tribes in the region to obtain more furs. Many of these tribes banded together with the French to halt Iroquois expansion. Peace was negotiated after 72 years of fighting, and many, mostly Indian lives lost. And little territorial change. The region of New France was comprised of several colonies. Canada and Louisiana were the largest, along with the smaller Plaisance and Acadia, which the British Empire obtained from the French in the Treaty of Utrecht in 1713 in a complicated agreement concerning the War of Spanish Succession. France also recognized the legitimacy of the Hudson Bay Company's claim over Rupert's Land. Interestingly, the Hudson Bay Company is still in existence today, primarily as owners of a retail store chain, bearing their name. Despite their larger territory, the French increasingly became outnumbered by the rapidly growing British colonies surrounding them, by a margin of 10-1 by the time the next major conflict between the two occurred. During the 7 Years' War, or the French and Indian War, as it has become known in much of North America, French-speaking Acadians were deported far from the Canadian borderlands, some of whom formed the basis of much of the Cajun population of modern-day Louisiana and New Orleans. Both English and French empires sent thousands of regular infantry to North America during the war, supported by local militias and Indian tribes.
It is very interesting what was happening before. Sometimes history can help you to understand a lot of things. And I never heard about Beaver Wars. It is very interesting. Centuries ago, when Russia was as Russian Empire, Russia was selling to Europe this fur of beavers too, and it was quite huge and profitable market for Russia for those period of time. And I know that that's one of the reason, like, you can find these traditional Russian hats, and they usually do this from fur of different animals. And example, yeah, right now it is also quite popular that in Russia people like to buy, example, coats with fur of animals, and yeah, it is happening, of course, pretty often.
The greatly outnumbered French relied heavily on Indian allies and fought the British to a standstill early in the war, until the British successfully besieged the cities of Quebec and Montreal. Despite the French later defeating the British in a pitched battle, they failed to retake their capital city. In the treaty that ended the war soon after, France ceded Canada to Britain, while giving Louisiana territory to her ally, Spain. It is important to note at this time much of North America's non-coastal areas were still largely unpopulated, with many of the native tribes heavily depleted through warfare and invasive diseases from which they had little immunity. With a population of approximately 3 million, the American
Wow.
colonies waged a successful rebellion against the British Crown. A little over a decade later, the Americans attempted and failed to take Quebec, which remained loyal to Great Britain. After the war, many British loyalists moved north into Canada. During the following War of 1812, both British and American armies launched several failed invasions of each other's territory, ending in military stalemate, and the status quo was maintained. The treaties following the war established a more formalized border between the two nations. Despite the Canadians' desire not to join their American neighbors to the south, movements for self-rule increasingly grew among the Canadian lower and middle classes, culminating in the rebellions of 1837 and 38 that were severely dealt with and crushed, and saw the short-lived Republic of Canada established by William Lloyd Mackenzie. Despite the Republic's short-lived lifespan and diminutive size, widespread public support, not only from many Canadians, both French and English-speaking, but also from Americans to the south, spurred Great Britain's government to make...
At this moment, I think, if I'm correct, that in Canada, two official languages. It is, of course, English and French, second one. And pretty often I was watching videos when I saw such videos on the internet when a person was talking using French and barely was using English, and people looking at this person like, come on, we have like in Canada like two languages. And yes, sometimes key people do not know this and they can be surprised. Yeah, it is very interesting, yeah.
major concessions in the rebellion's aftermath. The Act of Union in 1840 united Upper and Lower Canada into the new province of Canada, and the granting of responsible government soon after allowed for a far greater degree of self-rule to be exercised by the elected representatives of the people. In 1846, the disputed Oregon Territory was peaceably divided between Great Britain and the United States, pretty much by drawing a straight line and giving Vancouver Island to Canada. Throughout the 19th century, a massive boom in the logging industry fueled large waves of immigration to Canada, gradually replacing the fur trade as Canada's most lucrative industry. In 1867, the British North America Act,
Interesting. Population of Canada, I want to check right now by years. It would be nice to know. And I see your message, Sam Smith Q. Alex, Russia once owned Alaska. Yeah, I know this, and thank you for sharing with us. Yeah, I knew about this fact, and it is quite interesting. Population of Canada by years. Just interesting to look at this. Okay, and here we are. It is here, we can see it. 1871 population was 100,000. thousands people. What? I didn't get it. It is not. They're talking about indigenous population. Yeah, maybe here will be. But still, you saw that indigenous population was increasing like all these years. They have French. Why they cannot just do this? Yes, we have right now like 30. They have currently 38 million people. So, okay, 38 and millions 781,000 people like this. We can even zoom. What? 10 years. Oh no. All in 1953 there was like 15 million people. 15 million people. And right now it is doubled. But you can see this line, it is showing how it's growing population, blue line. Yeah, it is interesting to compare this. Okay, let's go.
Commonly called the Constitution Act today, established Canada as a self-governing democracy, with Ottawa as its capital city. To the west, the Hudson's Bay Company.
You was thinking, Turk, I thought Canada would have more people. I was thinking Canada would have less people, like maybe 20 millions like this. I don't know why I was thinking so. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. He was thinking opposite than me. Yes.
And he negotiated the sale of Rupert's Land to the newly formed Canadian government. The Métis people, of mixed European, primarily French, and Indian ancestry, were the largest population of the Winnipeg area of what is now Manitoba. Fearing the land they had held for generations would be seized by newcomers from the east, they rose in rebellion, creating a provisional government. And after a tense standoff, an eventual occupation by federal troops, many of their demands were met, respecting their rights. The leader of the rebellion, Louis Riel, would lead another larger but less successful rebellion 15 years later that ended with his trial and execution. Louis Riel became a martyr, or villain to many Canadians, his death increasing the tensions between Indian Métis, English, and French groups in society. Because of the key role the partially completed Transcontinental Railway played in the suppression of the rebellion, political support for completing it soared among English-speaking Canadians, and the railroad was completed in only 4 years from when it had begun. The 1890s saw the Klondike Gold Rush, in which over 100,000 prospectors set out to the remote Yukon region in hopes of striking it rich. Some did, but most didn't. After several decades of stagnant population growth, largely due to emigration to the United States, Canada's population sharply increased due to a good economy and high foreign immigration throughout the early 20th century. During the First World War, Canada, still a dominion of the United Kingdom, sent 620,000 troops to fight in Europe. 67,000.
I was thinking about premium membership, and Lisa, thank you for giving me this donation before. I will do this, just I don't know why I have some issues with Google that I need to look for this again, because yesterday I tried, I couldn't do this, just add my card to Google. I don't know, they have some issues there. Anyway, I will do this, thank you. And one of the things, because I created this Google account while I was in Russia, as a result, paying for premium, like it is, I need to change country, and yeah, it is kind of interesting situation.
You would
Anyway,
die.
yes, it's like My English World and Alex Live. All these channels they were created while I was in Russia. That's why I cannot and sanctions stuff like this. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
While another 173,000 would be wounded. The staggering casualty rate grieved and shocked the nation. The war had a strong impact on Canadian nationalism and the desire to self-govern its own international affairs, which they obtained when the British Parliament passed the Statute of Westminster in 1931, which acknowledged Canada's co-equal status with the United Kingdom. Between the world wars, Canada was hit particularly hard during the Great Depression of the early 1930s, with unemployment rates reaching 25%, and many men living in unemployment relief camps. During the Second World War, over
Let's go
1.1
Canada.
million Canadians served in that brutal conflict that left nearly 100,000 of them dead or wounded. In 1949, Newfoundland became the last Canadian province to incorporate. In 1965, Canada adopted its current flag. Here's a selection of some of the other national flags that were proposed.
yeah, and everywhere we can see this leaf, and only on this flag, which behind we can see little flag on top of them, flags of UK. Of course, if we are talking about independence, it makes sense why they choose number one, and yeah, and right now, everyone when you're thinking about Canada, I think personally about these leaves and about I know this how it's named in Russian. These leaves. I don't know how it's named in English. Yeah.
Let me know in the comments of which one do you think looks best. In 1982, the Canada Act passed the Parliament of the United
Number
Kingdom
one,
and
of
was
course,
ratified
of
by
course,
the
number
Queen,
one.
granting Canada the right to create their own constitution, which they promptly did. Still recognizing the constitutional monarchy in a mostly ceremonial rule, the new constitution abolished the British Parliament's remnants of influence over Canada. Canada is now a nation of over 36 million people, where over 20% speak
36.
French as a first language, and has the 10th largest economy in the world. The province of Quebec has maintained a strong French influence over the centuries, and has on 2 occasions voted in referendums to
Maple
decide
leaf.
whether Quebec should proclaim national sovereignty and become an independent country. In 1995, it very nearly did not pass, with secession still being an issue till this day. This has been Epimetheus. Let me know what you think down in the comments. What Canadian province is your favorite to visit or live in? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get.
Okay, it was a little bit short live stream and unexpected because one of the things I wanted to talk about English. I wanted to talk with you about English and history of English language. But what's happened? It's happened, and I love this topic too because history of Canada. It is a little like any history. It is fascinating. History of any country, and today found out about Beaver Wars. It's possible that I've heard about this, but it's pretty easy to forget sometimes some information. But for sure, I noticed that it was today during our live stream. I noticed that this war for during 70 years. I think it is a lot. I didn't expect this. Yes, but yes, it is what it is. And thank you for telling this that it is maple leaf. And because they were asking what kind of flag do you like more, of course, because I know only first version, I have a direct association with Canada with this maple leaf and this flag. I do not and of course they had different variations, but logically if country trying to be independent, as a result they are trying to remove all symbols from UK in this example. And yes, it was interesting obviously for me to watch. I found a lot of interesting information, and I see your message syrup that was tapped directly from the maple trees. It looks like once I received, while I was in Russia, I received maple tree, not in maple tree, syrup from maple tree, yes. And it was delicious, but I cannot tell that it was like, wow, so delicious. I would not tell this. Yes, it was nice, it was good, but yeah, for lovers of such syrup. Anyway, for today I think it was fun. You can leave your comments if you want, but I'm happy that anyway we did today live stream. I'm fascinating. In future, I hope that I will watch some video about English language, history of English language, and I hope that YouTube will not block anything, because sometimes it can happen. You're just talking about it, trying to understand a little bit, to learn a little bit about history, and it can happen every time. But hope that next time when I will watch about English history or history of English language, it will never happen, I hope. And yes, Alex, that is pronounced maple. Oh, thank you a lot for your help. And yes, at the end of this video, Lisa, thank you for reminding. Remember to hit the like button on your way out. Yes, it is a very good reminder. Thank you, Lisa Marshall. And yes, as for now, you're the best. Thank you a lot for your support. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate this. You're amazing. And yeah, I'm hugging you, wishing you all of the best. You're enough. And as always, see you next.